video, you will hear why broker owners of large brokerages have brought their brokerages over to eXp Realty. It's not an easy decision, and as a former brokerage owner myself, I would have loved to have had access to this information so much sooner.
Single office brokerage in the entire country. We had 906 agents doing 5,500 transactions a year, $2 billion in production. That was all out of one office, guys. Closed it down February of 2020. Now my rev share group is over 7,300 agents. Veronica Figueroa, owner of a RE/MAX franchise, 2 offices right here in Orlando, 32 agents, 200 million in production, moved over in 2019, now has a rev share group of 2230 agents. Very impressive, Veronica.
But I didn't give them a long enough runway. It was train them up, build them up, and then they became my competition. And I cared so much about them, and seeing them go out there and try this on their own, or think the next step was for them to open up a brokerage. I wanted to save people, don't do it. Let me tell you all the truth of what they don't tell you. Because the brokerage model, believe it or not, is not profitable unless you are running a mega brokerage model or a team bridge, in my opinion. And I can argue that all day long, put me up for debate on it. But for me, it was a lot like what Frank was saying. I care so much about these agents, and I wanted to be able to be in business with them no matter where their journey was going to take them. If it was an agent who was going to start out brand new with us and start as an agent on our team, or just wanted our mentorship and later on wanted to be a team or be bigger than what we were ever, I wanted to be in business with them, even though they were not on my team, but I wanted to be team them. And I didn't have a program for that. I didn't have a solution for that, but I cared deeply about their success, even when the breakup happened. And that call, if you're a broker in this room, the, hey, you got a minute, I wanna chat? You knew that it was the, I'm ready to go, I appreciate everything you've done for me, but I'm ready to go out on my own, right? I'm gonna go and hang my license over here because of X, Y, and Z. And you're like, but I want to be in business with you for a long time because I genuinely care about you. And it wasn't about me, it was about them. And I was willing to give them everything, take it all. I want to share everything with you. And I didn't have a program for that, Chuck, and I just knew a lot of them would go out and do this, and then I'd see them either fail. Not all of them, but just saw the stories, and you just were like, God, I wish there was a way I could help them. And I knew that eXp was the solution. So when I thought about, and I had the conversation with my agents, I went to my agents first. I went to top agents on my team, and I said, I am not making this decision without you, but I truly believe that this is the model that's better for all of us. I need your opinion. And I had one of my top agents that to this day I thank him. He said to me, the minute he looked at this, he says, when are we moving? How soon are we doing this? And I think what I want you guys to know about brokers and this whole identity thing, right? People join people. And if they trust you, they'll go to the moon with you. And I remember the agents who went with me, they said, B, if you tell us we're selling real estate on Mars, we're selling real estate on Mars. Where are we going? And they came, and the ones who are loyal, they've stayed. Now, what do? They're running their own teams. And I still get to be in business with them. And I get to celebrate them. That's why I knew this was the better model for them. I no longer would be jealous if they were sitting with my competition, because you know how that went. It was like, why are you talking to a KW agent? Or why are you talking to a RE/MAX broker or an exit broker? Now it's like, oh, you're talking to, let me see how I can help you. Now I get to be their partner beyond just being on my team.
Okay, Brian Allen, he owned 580 Realty for 2.5 years, 2 offices, southeastern Oklahoma, 32 agents, 468 transactions, 96 millions, just joined this year. Welcome, Brian. Who got you to come, and how were you approached?
Well, it didn't take long. It only took me 3 days. So I'm in the middle
Never
of
mind my first thing. You don't have to love on him too long.
The deal was I had already lost 2 agents to eXp, top producers. And I was standing in Hobby Lobby, and I got a text message that said that a third was going to be recruited. Now, to an independent broker, $96 million, that's a huge chunk of my revenue. And so these are people that I loved on for years. And so I was angry. very angry at you guys. My wife knew about it. And I went home and I learned everything I could about eXp. I read the website, I watched every video, and I stumbled upon this guy named Nolly. Right? And I watched every YouTube video. I can't say every YouTube video, but I watched every YouTube video I could, and I learned about teams moving over, learned about RevShare. I made spreadsheets, and Monday morning I called Nolly's organization. Tuesday, at 5 o'clock, I don't remember what day it was right before Thanksgiving. I talked to Nolly for 2 days. I still owe him a meal. He says I saved him from the dinner, but you know, Josie was inside eating, he was not. He was talking to me. And I worked with car dealers for a long time in past life, and I was waiting for the other foot to drop. And he didn't ever try to sell me. He listened to every problem that I had, and I was borderline fixing to quit real estate because I couldn't compete. I was street fighting every day, fighting over deals, fighting over agents, fighting over rent money. And you know what he did? The one thing, pray with me. He prayed with me. And I'm sorry I'm getting a little choked up. But he said that it changes the gate and it opens from the inside. And I knew on that phone call, I didn't tell him, but I knew on that phone call I was gonna be eXp soon. It took me about 45 days. I lost half my brokerage. But I'm telling you guys right now, there's brokers out there hurting. They're hurting, guys. And it's almost your duty to go out there and teach them that this model can save their brokerage, especially in the upcoming market.
Guys,
You lay it out.
Guys, remember, Kathy ran a KW Market Center from 2008 to 2016, 240 agents. 2016, she opened up eXp Realty Partners. It was a boutique brokerage of 35 agents, 106 million in production, 350 units. She moved over in 2020. Let's give it up for Kathy.
Tell you that you got to be careful how you deliver that message because it can be offensive. But when you break it down, broker owners, like, that's their identity. My identity was my company. I was proud of that. And I had ownership of that. Like, that was my thing. And so it was hard for me to think about, I'm rolling into another company. I'm losing my identity. I'm losing my ownership. Now I won't be able to sell. Like, all these things that I've been working up to for the years, you know, it just kind of was weighing on. I don't know if this is right for me. But then really when I took a step back, I still own a company. I run a large team. I have an LLC as a company. It is a company within a company. So I just had to resolve that within myself. So I think practicing those conversations are critical because you do need to broach that because they're not going to tell you that, but that's exactly what they're feeling inside, is they're giving something up. The loss of their identity is what they had to deal with.
And if you were a franchise, why did you choose that particular one?
So I have two answers to that question. I was a KW franchise for 10 years. I chose going into a franchise because at the time I was looking at what else could I do besides selling houses. I wanted to kind of have a future plan of just not schlepping houses the rest of my life, and I thought that was a good opportunity. One thing I will tell you though, and this is a good thing when you're talking with KW agents, what I had no idea is that I was handcuffing myself in an ownership position in a franchise. So I was held hostage for 5 years trying to get out of that. So that might be something to think about when you're talking to people that are considering going into a franchise. So after that 10-year run, I did finally was able to free myself. And at that point, funny, I was talking to Jason Gessing back then, and it was between going independent or going eXp. I went independent. But here I am today. A year ago last week I came over. But I went independent just to kind of free myself of all that, figure out what my next direction was. But I always loved the eXp model. I was so close to pulling the trigger. I think it had 4,400 agents at the time when I was talking to Jason. And had I not just come out of what I come out of, I would have made that decision. and be sitting here with 2,000 people in my downline right now. So
Awesome. Then we got Frank. Frank here at the end. He owned Abbey Real Estate, 4 offices in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and Tyler. 472 agents, guys. 2,400 transactions a year. They were the fastest growing independent brokerage 4 years in a row. And welcome him to the panel. They approach you.
So it was Jimmy and Andrew Franklin, also from Katy, Texas, who were recruiting me for several years because I had my feet dug in pretty hard. But they approached me. I started my independent brokerage about the same time they joined eXp. And I was celebrating my success on Facebook as they celebrated their success and growth on Facebook. And our numbers mirrored each other. We got to 100 agents about the same time, 200, 300, 400. But as I was approaching 500, they started pulling away from me. That got my attention. And of course, that was because it's exponential. I mean, they were cheating. They had all those agents recruiting for them.
We're
and I was
a bunch
doing
of
this by
cheaters.
myself. Yes. So they just hung in there. Jimmy had approached me directly. Did I want to hear about eXp? And I said, absolutely not. I said, I love what you're doing. Jimmy and I had been friends for 30 years. And I said, I want to celebrate you and your success. And he celebrated me and my success. We became a mutual, cheering squad for each other. And he didn't ask me directly after that. It was just a few years. We stayed in touch. We celebrated. But it wasn't until I had some other issues that I actually initiated the conversation.
If you'd like to pursue this further, just give me a call or text me.